Hi guys, this is Nassem here, and welcome to Legion Guides, where I go over all the major mechanics and break down the normal patterns. Vykas Gate 3 is where we first experience the gauge mechanic, and controlling this gauge is the key to clearing this gate. The recommended battle items are HP potions, whirlwind grenades, sleep bombs, and time stop potions. I will go over the uses of these items throughout this video. The very first thing I want to go over is the gauge mechanic. There are 4 different states you can be in: 0, 1 to 69, 70 to 99, and 100. At 0%, you'll be doing 90% less damage, so you don't want to be in this state. At 1 to 69%, you'll be doing normal damage. If you are trying out Vykas, I recommend trying to be in this state for most of the raid. At over 70%, which is indicated with this white mark, you'll be able to see different gimmicks, and you'll also be able to do more damage, but you'll be receiving more damage as well. So this is the ideal state you want to be in if you know all the patterns. Finally, at 100%, you'll lose control of your character and start attacking your raid members. If someone is at 100%, you need to throw a sleep bomb at them to bring them back. Don't forget to auto attack after the sleep to wake them up right away. Since you can be attacking your raid members, everyone should take their bleed runes out. This gauge will increase if you get hit by some of Vykas' patterns and can be reduced with these cleanse orbs located at 12, 3, 6, and 9 o'clock. In hard mode, there will be no cleanse orb at 6 o'clock. With this in mind, let's get into the major mechanics first, but the normal patterns increase your charm gauge, so I recommend learning the normal patterns as well. The swamp. The first mechanic will start at around 170 bars. Vykas will teleport to the middle and start the swamp mechanic. The Desire of Swiftness debuff will be applied to 5 players in normal mode and to 6 players in hard mode. The remaining players will get the Swamp of Despair debuff. The players with the Swamp of Despair need to create a bridge with the swamps, and this is mostly done at the 9 o'clock position. Everyone else with the Desire of Swiftness need to wait until their circles lock in place. Then, jump to the outside part of the bridge. After a few seconds, everyone will be pulled towards her, and at the end of the mechanic, reaching the center will kill you. So the goal here is to slow your movement speed through the swamp bridge to avoid moving to the middle. Let's look at an actual raid example for a better understanding. Statues and swords. At around 151 bars, Vykas will teleport to the middle and summon few statues around her. However, if your gauge is over 70%, you'll see swords instead. The main goal here is to find a location where both the statue and the sword overlap. That will be the safe zone. Normally, the players that can see the swords will ping the sword's location, and the players that see the statue will run towards the ping if there is a statue at that ping. If you see statues, wait patiently because your ping will make things confusing. If no one can see swords because everyone's gauge is less than 70%, these locations are actually fixed, so you can memorize all the different variants, which you can search online. Now around 135 bars, Vykas will teleport to the middle and drop these red rain. Getting hit by these will increase your gauge a lot, so you need to dodge these and get to 12 o'clock as fast as you can. The reason why you need to get to 12 o'clock is because you need to cleanse and get your gauge to 0 before the keyboard test begins. If you don't get the gauge down to 0, your keyboard test will basically be impossible, so make sure you cleanse your gauge. A small tip here is to use your space upwards after you peel the cleanse orb. Rain will still be falling, and if you are not cleansing at the very edge, you might get hit by the rain and your gauge might go back up right before the keyboard test starts. Now after the keyboard test, there can be 3 different scenarios. No one failed the test, 1 to 3 players failed the test, and 4 or more players failed the test. If no one failed the test, the raid leader can use Nineveh towards the center right away, and everyone else can start attacking her. After Vykas gets up, she will use the airstrike pattern, which I'll talk about soon. After the airstrike, she will drop on the aggro. After the drop, everyone needs to jump into the circle, and this will conclude this mechanic. If 1 to 3 players fail the test, there will be an explosion which can be mitigated with a support's alt shield. So once you see the message saying 1 to 3 players failed, make sure supports are using their shields. After the explosion, Vykas will use her airstrike pattern. After the airstrike, she will drop on the aggro just like before. Right when you see where Vykas is dropping, you can shoot Nineveh at the center of the circle. The reason why I like using Nineveh here is because she will have a shield when she drops if someone failed the keyboard test, and Nineveh will peel the shield off right away. Finally, if 4 or more players fail the test, it's an automatic wipe. so you need to start over. Now let's look at the airstrike pattern before we move on to the next mechanic. When an airstrike pattern is coming, everyone needs to group up because Vykas will be flying over the aggro. But we won't know who the aggro is until she is flying over us. She will fly over the players twice, once with the middle being safe and once with the middle being dangerous, but we won't know which order. When she flies through and there is no line under you, stay still for the next strike. The next strike will then have a line under you, so you make sure you dodge out in a perpendicular direction. Now if there was a line under you when she first flew over, dodge in a perpendicular direction. The second airstrike is usually in a perpendicular direction, so if everyone dodged in a perpendicular direction, everyone just needs to stay still for the second airstrike because the middle will be safe. Charm Explosion. The reason I'm calling this the Charm Explosion is because everyone needs to fill their gauge to 100% before the final explosion. At around 120 bars, 4 players will be chosen randomly and will get a pink circle under their feet. After a few seconds, charm puddles will summon under them. Standing in these puddles will increase your charm gauge, so you normally want to put these puddles near the edges of the map, but for this mechanic, since everyone needs to hit 100, gather up and summon the puddles in a tight area. The reason why you want these puddles gathered tight is because after your charm is back to 50%, your character might still be standing in the puddles, and you might go straight back to 100%. Since you lose control of your character, you want the puddles to be as tight as possible so that there is a less chance of your character standing in one of these at the end. If Vykas goes into a counter motion during this puddle phase, do not counter her because she will sit in her chair too late and the puddles will not disappear in time, making it a higher chance of someone betraying again. Stand in it until your charm gauge is at 100% and watch your character stance. Stagger check. At around 102 bars, there will be a stagger check mechanic. Vykas will be in the middle, but will have an AoE that increases your charm gauge. Because of this AoE, you want to cleanse your gauge using the Orb of Light at the 3 o'clock position. There will be 2 monsters at 1 o'clock and 7 o'clock locations as well. While you are cleansing, wait for the explosion, then head towards Vykas. Once you see the stagger bar, throw your whirlwind grenades and spam your high stagger skills. A few seconds after she is staggered, the 2 monsters will explode, which will basically kill you, so you will need to use a time stop potion. Depending on how fast the stagger took, count 1, 2, then hit this time stop potion. The timing will come with practice. Technically, you can kill the monsters if you keep your gauge above 70%, but I don't want to include the details here because that method is not for pugs. Second swamp. At around 75 bars, there will be another swamp mechanic. Just like before, create a bridge with the Swamp of Despair and leave the Desire of Swiftness out of this bridge. Tentacles. At 55 bars, Vykas will teleport to the middle and spawn tentacles in the bottom half of the map. In normal mode, there will be 6 tentacles, but in hard mode, there will be 8. The locations of the tentacles are also shown in the minimap. After summoning the tentacles, Vykas will shoot charm orbs away from her. Your goal here is to destroy all these tentacles. The catch is that you can only damage them if your charm gauge is over 70%, which can be done by absorbing these charm orbs. Doesn't sound too bad, right? How about your gauge will constantly decrease, so you need to keep picking up these charm orbs between attacks to keep your gauge above 70%. I recommend saving your ults here to damage multiple tentacles at once. 4 orbs. This pattern will only appear in hard mode. At around 30 bars, Vykas will skyfall to the middle, damaging the inside, then the outside. The 4 orbs will spawn from 1, 5, 7, and 11 o'clock. These orbs will travel towards Vykas, and 4 players need to absorb these before they reach Vykas. If you absorb this orb, your charm gauge will go up by a lot, so it's best to have the players with relatively low gauges to absorb these. After you absorb these orbs, you'll have a charm puddle around you, and you can end this puddle by spamming your space key. If the orbs reach Vykas, there will be a large explosion, which will increase everyone's gauge by a lot. Also, don't be near Vykas until this explosion. Getting hit by this explosion will also increase your charm gauge by a lot. The last ditch stagger. When Vykas' HP goes under 2 bars, your goal will change from deleting her HP bar to deleting her purple stagger bar. When this happens, group up in the middle and look at the minimap to see Vykas' location. After you see her location, get in between her location and the clone's location. Face Vykas and wait for the clone to send out these black circles. Stepping on these circles will lower your gauge, and this is very important because your gauge will constantly increase in this last stage. These circles will be spawned towards one player, and once the direction is locked, it'll travel forward only. So if one player was not right in between the clone and Vykas, the circles might travel in a weird direction. So make sure you're all stacked up in between the clone and Vykas. While stepping on these circles, run to Vykas and get behind her. After a few seconds, she will be sending these swords in front of her, so it's crucial to get behind her. Once you're behind her, you can use your whirlwind grenade and stagger skills to get this stagger bar as low as you can. This is also a great time to use Wei for help. After she runs away, stack up again for the airstrike. There will be 2 airstrikes in a row, like always. Then, she will drop to the middle and you need to jump in after she drops. Continue staggering after this and throw your whirlwind grenades if they are back from CD. If 7 or 8 players were alive, this should be enough to finish the raid. Now let's finally go into the normal patterns. Like I mentioned before, some of Vykas' normal patterns will increase your charm gauge, so it's very important to learn them so that you can keep your gauge at the level you want it to be in. Charm puddles. 4 random players will get the text Luring Temptation and get this pink circle under their feet. After 4 seconds, you'll drop a puddle under you that will increase charm gauge when you're in it. There may be times when a mechanic starts, so make sure you're not dropping these puddles near cleansing orbs. Medusa. Once you see Vykas shoot out these waves, look away from her. The quickest and most effective way of doing this is to just auto attack away from her. If someone looked at her, there will be this eye shape that will damage everyone, which can kill most classes. Once you see this red swirl, you can use a time stop potion to survive this. In hard mode, however, depending on how many wings Vykas has open, some players will need to face her. If no wings are open, no one should face her. If one wing is open, only one person should face her. And if both wings are open, 2 people need to face her. Now she does this twice in a row, so you need to dedicate 2 players each for both instances. Normally, Party 1, numbers 1 and 2 will take care of the first set, and Party 1, numbers 3 and 4 will take care of the second set. If someone from Party 1 is dead, the same number from Party 2 will take over their place. Let's look at an actual raid for a better understanding. Giant tadpoles. Vykas will summon giant tadpoles after this red circle explodes. The tadpoles can almost instantly kill you. However, the important thing here is that you can only see these tadpoles if your charm gauge is over 70%. If there is someone that can see it, you can use your ping to draw a safe path to get behind the tadpoles like this. However, if no one's gauge is over 70%, gather up in this spot as soon as possible because there is a very low chance of the tadpoles traveling through this spot. Stay in this spot for a while, pray, then go back to attacking Vykas. Charge. Vykas pulls her right arm back, then charges forward. This pattern is counterable when she pulls her arm back. If no one was able to counter her, she will do this again and will be counterable again as well. Double spin. Vykas will spin twice, teleport behind the aggro, then charge forward. Then, she will shoot these charm orbs in 6 directions. If you get hit by this, there will be an AoE under you that will increase the charm meter of anyone that walks into it, so make sure you're staying away from your raid members. After she shoots the charm orbs, she will drop on top of the aggro, and you'll have to get ready to jump in after she drops. After the double spin, she will be counterable. These 2 counter patterns will also have an counter internal cooldown, which I explained in my G2 guide. inside or outside. Vykas draws this half red, half black circle around her. After a few seconds, inside or outside will explode. In order to know where the safe zone is, you need to look at where her sword is. If her sword is on the red side, inside will be safe. And if her sword is on the black side, outside will be safe. Getting hit by this will also increase your charm gauge as well. Rain. There will be sets of circles you need to dodge while dodging this rain. Depending on where the first circle started, the circles will become smaller or larger. If you get hit by the rain, your charm gauge will increase a lot. Chain whip. Vykas throws a whip in front of her and pulls one player towards her. She will levitate and will not be attackable. She will damage that person and reduce the charm gauge of that person. She will then finish with the cross attack, so make sure you wait for the cross attack before attacking her again. If you get pulled in, make sure you're spamming your potion hotkey. Thrust. This is similar to the chain whip, but Vykas will show a blue line first. She will thrust in that direction and everyone in it will become stunned and will have to spam the space key. Chain lasers. Vykas will shoot her chain forward and there will be lasers shooting in both directions. Getting behind her will give you a nice DPS window. Waffle. There will be a waffle-shaped AoE like the waffle pattern in Gate 2. However, 2 random players will have these beads around them, and the players with these should try to run outside of the waffle. Cutter. Vykas will spin like a meat cutter. After the spin, there will be shockwaves in parallel directions. You need to stay out of the spin, then come back in to dodge the shockwaves. If you see Vykas turn 90 degrees all of a sudden, don't be at her front back indicators. And after she spins, jump in to dodge the shockwaves. Sword slash. Vykas will swipe her sword a few times, jump, and attack in a 270 cone. There are 3 variants of this attack. If Vykas slashes twice, get behind her to dodge the 270 cone. Then, run back towards the front because she will turn 180 degrees and do another 270 cone. If Vykas slashes 4 times, she can do 2 things. Either way, get behind her again. If there is nothing after the 4 slashes, you can start attacking her from the back. If there is a swirl, she will attack behind her. What I like to do is get far behind her just in case she does the swirl variant. And if there is no swirl, just jump right back in. Imprison chains. Black portals will start to spawn near Vykas. After a few seconds, chains will shoot out from these portals. If you get hit, you'll be imprisoned. And if you're on top of these puddles, your charm gauge will increase. So make sure you ping your location so that your raid members can set you free.
Sometimes promises warmth tomorrow, just like a dusky sunset in splendor. I remember the humming sound is passing by, the tears we have held back, all the dreams that I have lost in the present.
I hope this video helped you master Vykas Gate 3, and I hope to see you in my next Legion raid guide. Alright, peace!